there are still some people in the world that are born with tails.
Could the Anti-Defamation League be falsely accusing David of anti-Semitism because he's getting too close to the truth? Are the ADL part of the shadowy elite? Does the shadowy elite even exist? I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and I felt that the answer lay within the simple question. When David Icke says lizards, does he mean lizards, or does he mean Jews? Vancouver. A coalition of prominent anti-racists have organised an emergency anti-Icke meeting. There are powerful people here, members of the ADL's Canadian affiliates, the Canadian Jewish Congress and B'nai B'rith. This coalition is convinced that when David says lizards, he means Jews.
Above all, I think David Icke represents a political threat. His writings are anti-Semitic. He believes that the world elite, the Illuminati who dominate every aspect of our lives, are genetically descended from an extraterrestrial race of reptiles that came to Earth some time ago in the form of humans who are capable of changing their shapes, who are Satanists, who engage in ritual child sacrifice, who drink blood.
This is a public meeting, but the chair has let it be known that it is for people who have already made up their minds about David. Unsure people are not welcome. If they could read my mind, I would not be welcome.
Because this is actually a meeting for people who are opposed to David Icke's presence in the community and opposed to the things he says. And I would just like to know if there are any people here who consider themselves supporters of David Icke or
I haven't made up my mind yet. I don't know what he stands for.
This is not a meeting to debate what David Icke stands for. This meeting was called by people who have a very good understanding of what he stands for, and what he stands for is against community values. So that's what the purpose of this meeting is to organize against David Icke.
I want to make a trunk call.
Why does everyone make fun of this elephant? I don't get it.
Well, people make fun of people sitting in elephants because it's funny, that's why. People say I'm flipping mad. I mean, crikey, I don't sit in elephants.
Who quite clearly, in my view, is acts as a conduit to some extreme far-right organizations. Combat 18, I'm responsible for violent attacks on minority groups. So I see this as a real political concern in terms of what his agenda is.
I have a question for the man that just spoke. Do you see the Patriot movement as bad things?
I see them as far-right, anti-Semitic, racist ideologies.
I've been in the militia of the United States for the last 4 years. I've only met one racist there. I've met more on the street.
I mean, I think at this point that it may be unproductive, you know, for...
I'm here to learn. I don't know anything about Mr. Icke. If you want to move me out, fine. But
well, I think that there are people who are uncomfortable with you staying at the meeting.
Okay. Could I ask 2 questions, perhaps rhetorical, before I leave?
Well, we set the terms of the meeting as that this isn't really a debate.
Yeah. I wasn't here to debate. I was here to get information about Mr. Icke. But I'll go. I take it most of you consider Nazism and Marxism are not the same thing. Am I right? You would think one is way worse than the other, and that they're not the same?
Actually, I think we really need to proceed with the meeting.
I'm gone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Wheels have been set in motion. The Canadian Hate Crimes Unit has been alerted. The coalition has also written to ex-Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney to inform him that David Icke is accusing him of being a reptilian, blood-drinking child murderer. But so far, Brian Mulroney has declined to be provoked into legal action. In fact, every individual accused of reptilian blood drinking by David Icke has so far failed to sue, including Bob Hope, George Bush, George W. Bush, the Rothschild family, the Queen of England, the Queen Mother, Ted Heath, Prince Philip, Chris Christopherson, Al Gore, and Boxcar Willie.
You look what I've said in The Biggest Secret about the British royal family, how they're involved in satanic ritual, how they take part in human sacrifice ritual at places like Balmoral and stuff. Come on, let's have you. If it's not true, take me to court, let's have this out.
This is Canada's biggest book chain. Today, David has been invited for a book signing, unaware that the coalition has telephoned ahead to warn that if the event goes on, there could be violence from other racists.
If we're going to live in a free world and have the freedom of expression, how is that going to be defended if all it takes to stop it is one phone call threatening violence?
I'm not debating. I'm saying that right now the situation is that we chose not to have it because there was an issue of security, and I'm getting concerned about this right now.
Pamela, you're not willing to debate it because you have nowhere to go.
Well,
that's the truth.
If that
Please don't complain when your own freedoms are taken away. Thanks for your time.
You're very welcome.
These are your freedoms. And you don't realize that you're playing a part in destroying your own freedom by being just another clone of a system you're not interested in because it makes life more difficult to think about it. It's your freedom. I could walk away from this.
The events of the morning have made David rueful and homesick.
Would I want to do other things with my life other than this? My God, yes. It's something related to sport, probably. You know, I still love sport and all that stuff. But the thing that kills me most about doing this endless friggin' traveling is missing great chunks of my little boy growing up. There's not a day goes by without me feeling the agony of that.
What do you got to see this morning?
I've got a talk on a radio station, and then there's 2 television interviews. Don't ask me who they're with. Don't ask me anything about them. I feel like a mobile mouth, you know, sit you down and ask you questions, and you start talking. It's kind of strange life. You know, it's like my mother. When are you going to get a proper job out of Dave? When are you going to get a proper job? Never, never. Because this is a proper job, I guess, strange that it is. Radio 1 Broadcasting, is this the one? Radio 1, is Tony Blackburn here?
Yes, thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
David Icke. I've kind of been interviewed on a program at 10:15.
Right. We have reviewed the material which was submitted to us.
Say again?
We've reviewed the material which was submitted to us.
Uh-huh.
And we've also reviewed the radio regulations 1986.
I don't believe it. You got an exclusive here. Go ahead.
And we just don't feel comfortable with it.
Why?
Just don't feel comfortable.
Why? Explain to me.
No, that's it. Sorry. Thank you very much for coming.
You have invited me onto a radio station. I turn up on time, and you stand there and say, without any substance or explanation, we're not having you on. Now...
I just explained to you.
No, you haven't. Why? Tell me why.
I have reviewed the material which you have written, and I don't feel comfortable with it on the radio.
Why?
No, if that's it.
This is what I'm talking about when I say the public are given one version of reality, and people like this at AM 1040 in Vancouver prevent them having another version of reality, which means, of course, that they're getting part of the story and not what they're really entitled to hear. And if you think not exposing the fact that children are being abused in fantastic numbers, my friend, is too much for your radio station, then you tell the children who are being abused.
Thanks for coming in.
You know what your radio station is?
Thanks for coming in.
It's pathetic.
Thank you very much for coming in.
And you say you believe in freedom? You couldn't spell it.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
This is life in the free world, ladies and gentlemen. And this is one of the architects, unknowingly, of the destruction of our freedom. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is unbelievable. No explanation, no substance, no debate, just that's it. No conspiracy, no suppression of information, ladies and gentlemen of the world. Well, you've just seen it yet again.
You did say you were sick of doing radio interviews.
That's not the point. Whether I have to do one after the other to get this information out is irrelevant to the fact that the information again and again is being suppressed. Why? They'll tell you what the government wants you to know. They'll tell you what the transnational corporations and the stock market want you to know. They won't tell you what they don't want you to know. And people like that are unknowing, frightened little men who are editing the news while claiming to be part of a media that is free.
It was in reading some of the writings of David Icke that the decision was taken, hang on a minute. Why isn't this guy in the courts of Canada? Because he out and out calls two of our former prime ministers of Canada, he says they are rapists. And I'm also